France is a land of immense resilience and quiet confidence. While the world looks to Paris as the ultimate symbol of romance, the most visited city on earth, the true soul of the hexagon lives in the regions beyond the capital. France is a geographic miracle. It holds the rugged Celtic coastlines of Brittany and the sun-drenched glamour of the French Riviera, where the Alps plunge dramatically into the Mediterranean Sea. It is the purple horizons of Provençal lavender fields that once stirred Van Gogh's imagination, and the silent majesty of the Loire Valley, home to more than 300 fairy tale chateaux. This is a country that treats the dinner table as a sacred altar. French gastronomy is not merely food, it is a UNESCO World Heritage tradition. From the bold reds of Bordeaux to the simplest, perfect baguette, the French understand that joie de vivre, the joy of living, is found in the details. Complex, proud, and historically profound. From the beaches of Normandy to the peaks of Mont Blanc, France is a nation that has helped shape the Western world. Its greatness is enduring but never uncomplicated. History often forces us to look at the scars before we can fully appreciate the beauty. In the chaotic days following the liberation of 1944, a darker chapter unfolded in town squares across the country. The Femmes Tondues, women accused of collaboration, were publicly shamed, their heads shaved before jeering crowds. It was a brutal, ugly reckoning, a reminder that even the most beautiful nations carry shadows and must reckon with them. Under the heavy cloak of occupation, survival slipped into a moral gray zone. For many of the women who would soon face the shears, their so-called collaboration was not political. It was personal. A young girl falling in love with a German soldier. A mother washing uniforms so her children could eat. These were intimate choices made under impossible conditions. But while these women were scrutinized and whispered about, a far darker and far more profitable collaboration unfolded in plain sight. It was dominated almost entirely by men, captains of industry, factory owners, construction magnates. They didn't merely survive the occupation, they thrived under it. French factories rolled out trucks for the Wehrmacht. Construction firms poured concrete for the Atlantic Wall, fortifying the Nazi grip on Europe. Contracts were signed, hands were shaken, bank accounts swelled. This was economic collaboration on an industrial scale. Yet when the liberation came, the fury of the nation did not storm the boardrooms. It stormed the bedrooms. The woman who loved a soldier was branded a traitor, her head shaved, her dignity stripped in the town square. The man who built the soldier's tank often kept his fortune, his status, and his hair. This was selective justice. By concentrating its rage on the bodies of women, a wounded nation found a convenient scapegoat, allowing the powerful to quietly retreat into the shadows, their complicity dissolved in the public humiliation of others. The liberation brought freedom, but it also unleashed a frenzy known as the épuration sauvage, the wild purge. Across France, the courts moved too slowly for a nation drunk on release. The crowds wanted immediacy, they wanted spectacle, and they found it in the ritual of the shears. Today, historians no longer see these public humiliations as justice, but as acts of transfer. For 4 long years, French men had lived with the crushing humiliation of defeat in 1940. They had failed to protect their country. They had endured occupation, submission, and the daily erosion of pride. When liberation came, that buried shame demanded an outlet. By seizing these women, dragging them into the streets, and violently stripping them of their hair, a symbol of femininity and identity, men attempted to reclaim a lost sense of power. It was not punishment, it was performance, a reassertion of dominance. If they could not defeat the German army, they could at least punish the women who had slept with it. This was a theater of shame, carefully staged to distract. As crowds jeered at the fallen woman paraded through the streets, they were encouraged to look away from the more uncomfortable truths nearby. The shaving of heads offered instant purification, a visible enemy, a quick cleansing, the illusion that the nation was whole again. And in that noise, the silence was deafening. While towns screamed at the victim in the cart, they ignored the mayor who had signed deportation orders. the police chief who had arrested dissidents, the industrialist who had quietly profited from the war. The women became the easiest targets, sacrificial offerings so that a guilty nation could wash its hands without ever scrubbing too deep. Eventually, the hair grew back. The stigma did not. For thousands of the Femmes Tondues, the end of the war marked the beginning of a quieter punishment, a long internal exile. Many were driven from their villages, fleeing to large cities where anonymity offered the only mercy. They buried their pasts, hid their photographs, and mastered the art of silence. As these women faded from view, the great men of France stepped forward to write the history. The official narrative was clean and comforting. A nation of resistors, unified and heroic, led by Charles de Gaulle. The uglier truths, the purges, the public humiliations, the moral compromises did not belong in this triumphant story. So they were edited out. And yet, France endured. From the ashes of 1945, the country performed a remarkable resurrection. Cities like Le Havre, flattened by Allied bombs, rose again. Rebuilt not only with concrete and steel, but with a bold, modern vision of the future. Railways were relaid, factories roared back to life. The world fell in love with France once more. Christian Dior unveiled the new look. The French New Wave transformed cinema. France reclaimed its place as a global beacon of culture, elegance, and liberty. It was a dazzling rebirth, but it came at a cost. This modern republic was built on a foundation of amnesia. The noise of reconstruction helped drown out a quieter shame. The lives of women who were told, without appeal, to forget 1944 and never speak of it again. For decades, the photographs of the Femmes Tondues were hidden away, stuffed into shoeboxes, sealed in police archives, buried alongside a national shame no one wished to claim. But silence does not erase history, it only suspends it. Today, a new generation of historians, writers, and filmmakers is finally opening those boxes. They are looking beyond the official myth of unity and heroism to uncover the human truth beneath it. They are restoring voices to the women who were erased and recognizing that the épuration sauvage was not only a reckoning with occupation, but a deeply patriarchal reckoning with women. We now understand that the shears were not instruments of justice, but of control. They were used not to punish treason, but to reassert power. By naming this, modern France begins the slow work of restoring dignity to those who were humiliated in public and silenced in private. It is painful, it is uncomfortable, and it is necessary. Perhaps this is where France's true greatness resides. Not only in the glow of the Eiffel Tower, nor in the lavender fields of Provence, but in the courage to look honestly in the mirror, to accept the reflection in full, light and shadow together. France remains a nation of immense beauty, profound culture, and undeniable romance. But its maturity comes from understanding that its history, like the human heart, is flawed, complex, and scarred. The scars remain, but so does the spirit, resilient, proud, enduring. This is France. In the end, this story is not really about France. It is about women, and war, and survival. The Femmes Tondues were not symbols. They were not slogans. They were not lessons carved neatly into history books. They were human beings trapped inside impossible choices, doing what was necessary to eat, to protect their children, to stay alive one more day. So we are left with a question that refuses to stay in the past. If war came tomorrow, if the rules collapsed, if hunger arrived, if power shifted overnight, what would you do to survive? It is easy to judge from peace, much harder from fear. History tells us this uncomfortable truth. When survival is on the line, most people do what they must. And women, time and again, are asked to pay the price, first with their bodies, then with their silence. The hair grew back. The judgment did not. In our next chapter, we travel to Cambodia, into a place where survival demanded something even darker. A prison where victims were forced to become guards, where innocence was not lost all at once, but traded slowly, for breath, for time, for life itself. That story is coming. Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember the women who did what they needed to do simply to survive.